In a matter of days, we launch into the chaos of the holidays, and soon we won't have a spare minute to think straight. My next guest, here to inspire you to carve a little time out for something that could save you a lot of money down the road. For a little end-of-year tax planning, we are turning today to Joe Schmitz of Peak Retirement Planning in this sponsored segment. Hi, Joe.
Yep, thanks for having us, Robyn.
All right, now I've talked to you many times now, and I've learned that tax planning is not something you focus on once a year, right? Because that could be trouble. You have to constantly reevaluate when it comes to your strategies on this, right?
Yeah, it's year-long planning, although there is some things, maybe someone hasn't taken advantage of all the strategies throughout the year. Well, no problem. We can't change the past, but we do have about a month and a week to get some of the strategies done, which we can talk about here today, and make sure people have that checklist out and know what to look for.
Okay, so talk about that, Joe. The most important ones, maybe. How can people look to this year end and do something about those?
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing to think about too is, like, many people think, well, taxes, well, that's from January to April, right? Because that's when you prep your taxes.
Correct, yeah.
Well, we're going to talk about strategies that before that time comes, so you can actually prep the right things. And so one thing that we're talking about a lot right now is Roth conversions. And Roth conversions have to be done before December 31st, and we would encourage people to start moving on that now because of the end-of-year deadlines that are existing with the the custodians and the places that you may hold your money at. And so a Roth conversion is simply for moving money from a 401k or an IRA, a tax-deferred investment, over to a Roth account. And if you do that, you have to pay your taxes now. And so I know some of the viewers are probably thinking, well, I don't want to pay my taxes now.
That sounds bad, right?
But it's either you pay it now or you pay it later, right? And so that's the idea of a Roth conversion. And so the reason why we're seeing that be so beneficial right now is because tax rates are lower right now, and we expect them to go higher in the future. And so now could be a good time to capitalize on that. And if you get the money to a Roth, it grows tax-free.
That's
moving forward.
Yeah, and I think that's the important part to note, because obviously if you pay those taxes later, your sum is going to be larger, hopefully, as you have grown that, and so your tax debt would be.
Yeah, it's kind of like the seed versus the harvest, right?
Yeah.
So I'm from Carroll, Ohio, not too far from here, and grew up in a very rural community, and my best friend down there is a farmer, and so I always ask him, would you rather pay tax on the little seed you plant or the harvest that you reap at the end of the year? And so obviously you'd rather pay it on the smaller amount, and that's the idea of a Roth conversion. But some of the other strategies that these people can be aware of end of the year is if they have a 401k, if they're still working, they can contribute the maximum to their 401k or contribute more before December 31st to take advantage of the limits here for this year. Okay. And so for this year, it's $23,000 for most people. And then if you're over age 50, there's a $7,500 catch-up in addition. So if we can save that much, that's a great thing, but people have up to that amount to get done before the end of the year. So
okay, and I was going to say that catch-up is a big strategy, and it's one that you probably sit down with clients every day, Joe, and you talk about these things, and either they were unaware of it or unaware that they had to do it at a certain time, probably in the journey, correct?
Exactly, and some people may be trying to, make sure they, kids are out of the house, maybe the time to do that. But another strategy that we're seeing a lot of people consider, and this is one that may not be end of the year, this one you actually can do until April 15th, and this is similar to funding a retirement account as funding an IRA. And so you can either do a Roth IRA or an IRA. You can put up to $7,000 into that, and if you're over age 50, there's a $1,000 catch-up on that. So that's $8,000. That could be per spouse if you're married. And the reason why we're telling people to wait till April is see what your tax situation is first, and then you have an extended deadline on that one. And so maybe you're expecting yourself to be in a higher bracket. Well, now we can do an IRA and lower our income. Or if maybe our income's lower and we're in the lower brackets, maybe we want to do a Roth. And so you have the flexibility to prep your taxes first, get an idea, and then finish it is what we look at. And we have a CPA at our firm that works with our clients, and so that's something we do with all of our clients. Once we get their return built out, once we get an expectation, we then decide, do we want to do a Roth IRA or the traditional IRA, and make that decision from there.
And I think it's important because these strategies, the things you mentioned, there's probably so much more complexities to, planning for this than people realize. So meeting with your team, you talk about this, map you can plan out. You talk about this book they can get, right? Certainly. Is that kind of the best route to sit down and flesh these things out with someone?
Yeah, I mean, we recommend someone, whether it's us or someone else, work with a team who does comprehensive planning, right? Someone who's doing tax planning and not just investment management. And we really like to see people work with, those who are working with an attorney and a CPA all in the same place, So you get that collaboration, that one-stop shop, because not all three of those professionals can always be working together.
Yeah.
And so especially on any of your tax planning strategies, I mean, we're coordinate with our CPA that we work with almost every day with our clients. And so it's going to be important to make sure you don't miss anything. And so we would recommend someone work with more of a comprehensive team, especially if they're in or near retirement. Things get a little more complex. Your life savings have accumulated at that point. And, one or two mistakes can be pretty costly in retirement. We don't want to see that.
All right, you can get the book. You can get more information by calling or even texting tax to the phone number you see on the screen to reach out to Joe and his team at Peak. Thank you so much, Joe.
Thanks, Robyn.